Calaroga Shark Media.
Hello, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. It was back in 1997, Rolling Stone called Bert Kreischer, a sixth-year undergraduate, the top partier at the #1 party school in the country, which was Florida State University. Now, Bert Kreischer, 3 decades later, tells USA Today he's still partying hard. Bert says, "I'd argue it's probably even worse. My game hasn't changed much, but I take bigger stints of sobriety now, and I'm healthier now. I work out every day. I get hydrating IVs probably twice a week. I drink water, and I'm more cognizant of my sleep and my recovery." Now, what makes the Bert Kreischer tour bus? He says a ton of vodka, which is his own brand because all comedians have to have some sort of side hustle these days for some reason. Water, snacks, and a full gym, which is stowed in the bus bay. During his 2023 tour, Bert Kreischer packed 3 semi-trucks with even more workout equipment. Boy, you've got some budget, dude. Bert said, "We had 5 electric bikes, a cold plunge, a sauna, a full gymnasium with rowers and assault bikes, compression boots with recliners. How much money is this dude making?" He lost 45 pounds on the tour and said, "I'm so much healthier when I'm on the road, without a doubt." Dusty Slay has been sober for over a decade. He told Fox, "I like to party, I like to get into it, and so every night comedy became a party, and it's not sustainable. I just wasn't feeling good. I wouldn't remember my jokes. Getting sober changed my whole life, more than just comedy, but changed my life." He wondered, will I still be funny without the booze? "When I quit drinking, I thought I might quit comedy because all my jokes are about drinking. I'm much better at comedy now. Now I have all these ideas. My brain's not constantly clogged and flooded with poison, you know?" Dusty said, "I don't care if people drink, but for me, it changed my life and made everything better for me. I'd be a total wreck. I wouldn't be sitting here, and if I was, I'd be sweating, even though it's heavily air-conditioned. I'd sweat, and you'd think, have you been drinking? And I probably would have been. I'd have had a beer before, and I'd go, you guys got any beers around here? And you guys would be like, this is a news station, buddy." Yahoo tells us George Clooney has achieved the impossible. He got Adam Sandler to dress better. Nice job, George Clooney. Although I kind of liked knowing that Adam Sandler is the one person in the world who dresses worse than I do. If you think I'm wearing some sort of ratty sweatshirt and some sweatpants and a baseball cap right now, you're right. But even that is probably better than the baggy basketball shorts look Sandler normally goes for. But now he's all George Clooney, fancy pants. Clooney told People, "I've actually been making Adam wear suits. Don't you think he looks nicer instead of those big baggy shorts?" Clooney said, "Adam Sandler, a great dramatic actor, is the sweetest man in the world. I love him. He's a dear friend, and the fact I got to work with him again is great." Sandler says he doesn't really think about his traditional baggy look. He says it's as funny as hell. Whenever one of my kids or their friends talk to me about it, my wife's like, "What are we talking about right now? How did that happen?" Even when we were younger, others would say, "Would you put on something better than that? Your wife's dressed so beautifully." My wife would say, "He's comfortable like that. Let him do that. Leave him alone." Yeah, she's like, "Dude, it's making $500 million a year. Leave him alone. He can wear baggy shorts. Shut up." Jay Kelly opens in select theaters November 14th. Will stream on Netflix December 5th. People saying it's an Oscar-worthy performance by the great dramatic actor Adam Sandler. So I'm looking forward to that one. Hopefully it's in the pantheon of Sandler movies, the great movies like Uncut Gems, Space Movie, Basketball One, and the 2 with Drew Barrymore. Everything else complete garbage, but hopefully this one is up in that top tier. I saw this as part of my Adam Sandler Googling. Far Out Magazine writes, even though an alarming percentage of his filmography is made up of awful, awful comedies, Adam Sandler seems like a nice guy. I agree with everything in that sentence. It is made up of awful, awful comedies, and he does seem like a nice guy. And most of the people who know or have worked with him think the same thing, too. The most annoying thing about Sandler, apart from some of the characters he played, is that he knows he's been coasting for years, if not decades. Every now and then he'll show up in something like Punch Love, Uncut Gems, or Hustled, or remind everyone he's actually a great actor. And then it's back to mugging for the camera in Happy Gilmore sequels. Did I write this? Maybe I wrote this and I forgot I wrote this? Anyway, the point of this article is to spotlight Andy Kindler, who has added himself to the list of people who believe that Sandler squandered his potential by becoming inordinately wealthy. Kindler told LAist, "I've been making fun of him for years just for the fact that his movies are never reviewed. He doesn't even put them out to be reviewed. And just consider the Pixels movie. It doesn't sound like he listened to the whole pitch." Kindler then talked about the Ridiculous Six, saying, "Basically, I said that Native Americans who walked off the set for the movie said they'd prefer another genocide. They'd prefer once again to be slaughtered by the white man and to stay on this movie." I don't know if it's that bad. It's close. What bugs Andy Kindler is he used to be a huge Adam Sandler fan, until Adam became a movie star, which left him feeling that Adam Sandler could be doing better, but for some reason decided to go with the money. I wonder why he decided to go with the money. Let me think. Is it the money? Look, he puts out terrible comedies, but was Adam Sandler at the Riyadh Comedy Festival? He was not. At least he's like putting in the work to make Happy Gilmore 2, so I'll give him that. He hooks up his friends. His daughters are some of the best actresses in Hollywood, so he's lucky enough that he knows them, that he can cast them in the film. Is it terrible? Of course it's terrible, but it's not the Riyadh Comedy Festival. Am I becoming an Adam Sandler fan? Vulture spoke with David Letterman. Hey, Dave, any specific memories of the first episode of Late Night with David Letterman? Dave said, well, we had several first shows. The first show on the daytime show, the first show on the NBC show, and the first show on the CBS show, and it's always like you're getting ready for the Rose Parade. You have the Rose Parade, and then it's, oh, geez, what are we doing tomorrow? I think that was typical of the daytime show, the late night show, and then the late show. After all of the effort, all the energy goes on that first show. Now what do we do? It's not until about a month and a half to establish a rhythm and production that will hold you, that'll prop you up for the rest of the run. But until you're comfortable with that, it's going to be a struggle. Vulture asked about Johnny Carson's involvement, since Johnny was a producer of Late Night with David Letterman at the beginning there. So that made the man you idolized your boss, or at least your partner. Was he a silent partner, or did he chime in? Dave said, to my memory, Johnny couldn't have cared less, except whatever the cut of the budget he got. We were of no threat to him. He was still the king of the heap. To him, we were just, all right, call me when they're canceled. He was always very nice. He'd have me on from time to time. We would promote the show. I think he found it amusing, and who knows? I never really asked him what he thought of the show, but I always felt like if you're not as good as Johnny, really, is there any point in leaving Indiana? But if you look at Johnny's work now, my God, it was just solid. Pick one night of the week, the first year, the 8th year, the 20th year, he's just rock solid. He's like the very best home healthcare person you could afford. He's constant, doesn't miss a beat, doesn't get you worried. I mean, that. Let me jump in there. Dave's so right about Carson doesn't get you worried. Again, it's another mark of a great host, of just steady in the chair, driving the train, not going to go off the rails, not going to get the network canceled. Dave said, I always felt like I felt short of that. I feel like everybody else feels short of doing it. The only person I think didn't fall short of that was Regis Philbin. Regis was, get on, and when we hit your stop, let me know, because I'm going to keep going. He was fantastic. And Johnny, the best. Since Regis came up, I'll tell a quick Regis story. I've told it before. So I worked with Regis a few years. He would come into Sirius and host Bing Crosby Christmas Radio. He's a big fan of Bing Crosby. We wanted to have a cool celebrity host it, so Regis would come in. And one year, somebody on the Sirius end forgot to order a car for Mr. Philbin. And he was standing in front of the building waiting for a car that didn't come. He eventually got a car himself. He comes in, and he's all Regis Philbin, and he's turning it on. He's doing 90% the act, 10% letting me know that he's annoyed. And he's right. We're totally in the wrong here. We didn't order him a car. He's out in the cold. We're wrong. We're wrong. We're wrong. Johnny Mac's wrong. Staff is wrong. We're wrong. But so it's like 90% the fun, 10% give me the business. And he's like, yeah, and and I had to pay for my own car to get here. Now, I don't know what made me do this, but I took out a $100 bill. For some reason, I had a $100 bill. And I put it on the counter, and I looked him in the eye, and I smiled, and I go, we good? And he laughed, and he goes, okay. He didn't take my money, of course, but he just was like, all right. I think we had an Irish thing going on. Anyway, I loved working with Regis Philbin, a pro's pro. One of the things I love working with people who are professional and understand, hey, we're here to do a job. Let's knock this out professionally. People that can hit their marks, people that can read a script, people that can do things in 1 or 2 takes. I love it. Now, Jay Leno, this guy. He's the kind of guy that weighs in on late night television as if he has any expertise in the subject. And when he's not out doing charity work, he's just the worst. I saw this story here from Late Nighter, I guess. According to Bill Carter's book, The War for Late Night, Jay Leno could spend 5 hours straight choosing material for each evening's program, poring over jokes until someone dragged him to rehearsal. Jay Leno hated vacations and rarely went to parties. Listen to this guy working. On the show between seasons, he spent his time off working the comedy club circuit. Bill Carter wrote, some might call him a robot with no apparent inner life at all. Jay didn't care, nor did he even seem to disagree all that much. Guy seems like the worst. Atsuko Atsuko, who did not play the Riyadh Comedy Festival, in fact, went out of her way to make sure we knew she didn't. She's figured out another way to make money. She's teamed up with P.F. Chang's. She's using her social media to introduce items from P.F. Chang's revamped menu, such as the return of the chain's popular garlic noodles. She's promoting their new $8.99 cocktail options like the lychee martini, which she says gives elegance and mystery. Sounds like me, not Johnny Mac. Sounds like Atsuko. It tells us the Jade Margarita is rich with flavor and vacation vibes, and adds that the garlic noodles have flavor bolder than my wardrobe and my personality. Again, nothing bold about my wardrobe or my personality. She's speaking about herself. The new menu includes sushi rolls like spicy tuna, kung pao dragon roll, and shrimp tempura, and entrees like kung pao chicken. Customers can now either select medium or traditional entree sizes. The $8.99 cocktail collection also includes seasonal specials like the blood orange margarita and the peartini. And on The Guardian, George Francis Lee wants The Simpsons to end. Lee writes, "The Simpsons hasn't been good since 1997, which means the show's been in decline for as long as I've been alive." Now we're beset with season after season of awful, awful episodes. Ironically, the show was already lampooning the growing difficulty in keeping itself fresh all the way back in 95. As Troy McClure said in the Simpsons 138th episode spectacular, who knows what adventures they'll have between now and the time the show becomes unprofitable. Boy, that was a good episode, and boy, that episode was 30 years ago. Yikes, that went fast. Lee writes, "It's impossible to explain succinctly why modern Simpsons doesn't work. It's not funny, sure, but Springfieldians are now oversimplified caricatures of themselves, something so evident in Ned Flanders' transition from a well-meaning and church-attending neighbor to a relentless Christian fundamentalist that it spawned the term Flanderization. Recently, The Simpsons has suffered more by the loss of some of its iconic voice talent. The voice of Miss Krabappel passed away in 2013, the voice of Martin the Bully passed away, and the voice of Milhouse retired last year. Then there's the declining voice quality of actor Julie Kavner, whose voice for Marge now sounds as pleasant of polyp surgery. That's harsh. And Harry Shearer, when he voices characters like Mr. Burns and Ned Flanders, he comes off like he's doing a bad impression. How long until AI is used to skirt the limitations of actor mortality? Hank Azaria, the voice behind Bartender Moe and the Axe Apu, has already written an op-ed predicting that very outcome. Now they're making another Simpsons movie, I'm paraphrasing here. Not only that, but Fox has commissioned 4 more seasons, meaning that when it hits season 40 in 2028, The Simpsons would be the same age as Homer is in the show. When the donuts start to go stale, you don't keep them around for another 27 years, you chuck them out. And that is your comedy news on a Monday. Have a great day.